Jai Guruji.
Jai Guruji, Auntie.
May I begin?
Yes, Auntie. Thank you.
So we are now progressed to chapter 14, and without further ado, this is an experience in cosmic consciousness. So I am here with Guruji. My shamefacedness spoke more eloquently for me. Let us go to the kitchen and find something to eat. Sri Yukteswara's manner was as natural as if hours and not days had separated us. Master, I must have disappointed you by my abrupt departure from my duties here. I thought you might be angry with me. No, of course not. Wrath springs only from thwarted desires. I do not expect anything from others, so their actions cannot be in opposition to wishes of mine. I would not use you for my own ends. I am happy only in your own true happiness. How beautiful. So basically expectation. It's expectation that leads to disappointment. But here, when we reach this elevated state, then our expectation of others also abates. So one hears of divine love in a vague way, but for the first time, I'm having a concrete example in your angelic self. In the world, even a father does not easily forgive his son if he leaves his parents' business without warning. But you show not the slightest vexation, though you must have been put to great inconvenience by the many unfinished tasks I left behind. We looked into each other's eyes, where tears were shining. A blissful wave engulfed me. I was conscious that the Lord, in the form of my Guru, was expanding the small ardors of my heart into the incompressible reaches of cosmic love. A few mornings later, I made my way to Master's empty sitting room. I planned to meditate, but my laudable purpose was unshared by disobedient thoughts. They scattered like birds before the hunter. Mukunda, Sri Yukteswara's voice sounded from a distant inner balcony. I felt as rebellious as my thoughts. Master always urges me to meditate, I muttered to myself. He should not disturb me when he knows why I came to his room. He summoned me again. Oh dear, I have the light. Hello, are we there?
Yes, Auntie.
Oh, there's a power cut. Oh, wow. I felt as rebellious as my thoughts. Master always urges me to meditate, I muttered to myself. He should not disturb me when he knows why I came to his room. He summoned me again. I remained obstinately silent. The third time, his tone held rebuke. Sorry, 1 second. Sir, I am meditating, I shouted protestingly. I know how you are meditating, my Guru called out, with your mind distributed like leaves in a storm. Come here to me. Snubbed and exposed, I made my way sadly to his side. Poor boy, the mountains couldn't give you what you wanted. Master spoke caressively, comfortingly. His calm gaze was unfathomable. Your heart's desire shall be fulfilled. Sri Yukteswar seldom indulged in riddles. I was bewildered. He struck gently on my chest above the heart. My body became immovably rooted. Breath was drawn out of my lungs as if by disturbance. Okay. So my body became immovably rooted. Breath was drawn out of my lungs as if some huge magnet. Soul and mind instantly lost their physical bondage and streamed out like a fluid pacing light from my every pore. The flesh was as though dead. Yet in my intense awareness, I knew that never before had I been fully alive. My sense of identity was no longer narrowly confined to a body, but embraced the circumambulate atoms. People on distant streets seemed to be moving gently over my own remote periphery. The roots of plants and trees appeared through a dim transparency of the soil. I discerned the inward flow of their sap. The whole vicinity lay bare before me. My ordinary frontal vision was now changed to a vast spherical sight, simultaneously all perceptive. Through the back of my head, I saw men strolling far down Raighat Road, and noticed also a white cow who was leisurely approaching. When she reached the space in front of the open ashram gate, I observed her with my two physical eyes. As she passed by behind the brick wall, I saw her clearly still. All objects within my panoramic gaze trembled and vibrated like quick motion pictures. My body masters the pillared courtyard, the furniture and floor. The trees and sunshine occasionally became violently agitated until all melted into a luminescent sky. Even as sugar crystals thrown into a glass of water dissolve after being shaken. The unifying light alternated with materializations of form, the metamorphosis, revealing the law of cause and effect in creation. An oceanic joy broke upon calm, endless shores of my soul. The Spirit of God, I realized, is exhaustless bliss. His body is countless tissues of light. Wow. So this is how Guruji's body too, it was the countless tissues of pure light. And therefore, sitting in a sharan, we used to feel so elevated and so much at bliss. So even today, when we connect to Guruji wholeheartedly, silently, we feel that light permeate us. A swelling glory within me began to envelope towns, continents, the earth, solar and stellar systems, tenuous nebulae and floating universes. The entire cosmos, gently luminous like a city seen far afar at night, glimmered within the infinitude of my being. The sharply edged global outlines faded somewhat at the farthest edges. There I could see a mellow radiance, ever undiminished. It was indescribably subtle. The planetary pictures were formed of a grosser light. The divine dispersion of rays poured from an eternal source, blazing into galaxies, transfigured with ineffable auras. Again and again, I saw the creative beams condense into constellations, then resolve into sheets of transparent flame. By rhythmic reversion, sextillion worlds passed into diaphanous luster. Fire became firmament. I cognized the center of the Empyrean as a point of intuitive perception in my heart. Irradiating splendor issued from my nucleus to every part of the universal structure. Blissful Amrit, the nectar of immortality, pulsed through me with a quicksilver-like fluidity. The creative voice of God I heard resounding as Om, the vibration of the cosmic motor. Suddenly, the breath returned to my lungs. With a disappointment almost unbearable, I realized that my infinite immensity was lost. Once more, I was limited to the humiliating cage of a body, not easily accommodative to the spirit. Like a prodigal child, I'd run away from my macrocosmic home and imprisoned myself in a narrow microcosm. My guru was standing motionless before me. I started to drop at his holy feet in gratitude for the experience in cosmic consciousness which I had long passionately sought. He held me upright and spoke calmly, unpretentiously. You must not get overdrunk with ecstasy. Much work yet remains for you in the world. Come, let us sweep the balcony floor, then we shall walk by the Ganges. The beauty is that he had an out-of-body experience, of course, and he experienced that cosmic bliss and ecstasy. And then he had to come back into the human body to sort out his karmic debts. I'm sorry about the intrusion today, but there is a power cut constantly here in Goa today, particularly. So, but we will. Okay, I fetched a broom. Master, I knew was teaching me the secret of balanced living. The soul must stretch over the cosmogonic abysses while the body performs its daily duties. When we set out later for a stroll, I was still entranced in unspeakable rapture. I saw our bodies as two astral pictures moving over a road by the river whose essence was sheer light. It is the Spirit of God that actively sustains every form and force in the universe. Yet he is transcendental and aloof in the blissful, uncreated void beyond the worlds of vibratory phenomena, Master explained. Saints who realize their divinity, even while in the flesh, know a similar twofold existence. Conscientiously engaging in earthly work, they yet remain immersed in an inward beatitude. The Lord has created all men from the limitless joy of his being. Though they are painfully cramped by the body, God nevertheless expects that souls made in his image shall ultimately rise above all sense identifications and reunite with him. So Guruji is enabling us to do this, to live in the world with a similar twofold existence. Conscientiously, we engage in our day-to-day activities. We go to work, whoever goes to work. We write, we do whatever we have to, engaging in daily chores. But Guruji, through the Shabad Gurbani, through satsangs and Seva and Simran, he's enabling us to really find that limitless joy within us. Now, and no matter how difficult sometimes life becomes, it eases out knowing that Guruji is within us and he's with us. And through just listening to the Gurbani Shabad silently on our own sometimes, just enables us to lift ourselves up again. So it's so elevating, knowing that Guruji is with us 24/7. The cosmic vision left many permanent lessons. By daily stilling my thoughts, I could win release from the delusive conviction that my body was a mass of flesh and bones, traversing the heart, soul, and matter. The breath. So when we understand that we are more than just this body, that we are actually a spiritual being having a human experience, then we can really traverse the hard soil of matter. The breath and the restless mind I saw were like storms which lashed the ocean of light into waves of material forms: earth, sky, human beings, animals, birds, trees. My perception of the infinite as one light could be had except by calming these storms. As often as I silenced the two natural tumults, I beheld the multitudinous waves of creation melt into one lucent sea, even as the waves of the ocean, their tempests subsiding, serenely dissolve into unity. It all becomes one, and that is the goal of each human being, to awaken the Guru within us, of course, but to also enjoy the worldly joys of oceans and trees and all nature around us, and the activities of good and bad in our lives, and yet to rise above it all and to make it all one. These are human experiences are so beautiful that they enrich our lives. It is important to have those human experiences to enrich and to make us evolve. A master bestows a divine experience of cosmic consciousness when his disciple, by meditation, has strengthened his mind to a degree where the vast vistas would not overwhelm him. The experience can never be given through one's mere intellectual willingness or open-mindedness. Only adequate enlargement by yoga practice and devotional bhakti can prepare the mind to absorb the liberating shock of omnipresence. It comes with a natural inevitability to the sincere devotee. His intense cravings begins to pull at God with an irresistible force. The Lord, as a cosmic vision, is drawn by the seeker's magnetic ardor into his range of consciousness. So through yoga practice and meditation, that is when we feel God's presence in our lives. It is not merely knowledge. It is not about the written word and what we read. It's about literally practicing everything that we read and hear from the Gurbani. We need to embrace it and internalize it and then practice the meditation on a daily basis. I wrote in my later years the following poem, Samadhi, endeavoring to convey the glory of its cosmic state. Vanished the veils of light and shade, lifted every vapor of sorrow. Sailed away all dawns of fleeting joy, gone the dim sensory mirage. Love, hate, health, disease, life, death. Perished these false shadows on the screen of duality. Waves of laughter, sillars of sarcasm, melancholic whirlpools, melting in the vast sea of bliss, the storm of Maya stilled, by magic wand of intuition deep, the universe, forgotten dream, subconsciously lurks, ready to invade my newly wakened memory divine. I live without the cosmic shadow, but it is not bereft of me. As the sea exists without the waves, but they breathe not without the sea. Dreams, waking states of deep turiya, sleep. Present, past, future, no more for me, but ever present, all flowing, I everywhere. Planets, stars, stardust, earth, volcanic bursts of doomsday cataclysms, creation's molding furnace, glaciers of silent X-rays, burning electron floods, thoughts of all men, past, present, to come. Every blade of grass, myself, mankind, every particle of universal dust. Anger, greed, good, bad, salvation, lust. I swallowed, transmuted all into a vast ocean of blood of my own being, smoldering joy, oft puffed by meditation, blinding my tearful eyes, burst into immortal flames of bliss, consume my tears, my frame, my all. Thou art I am thou. Knowing knower known as one. Tranquil, unbroken thrill, eternally living, ever new peace. Enjoyable beyond imagination of expectancy, samadhi, bliss, not a mental chloroform or unconscious state without willful return. Samadhi, but extends my conscious realm beyond limits of the mortal frame to farthest boundary of eternity, where I, the cosmic sea, watch the little ego floating in me. How beautiful. So with heightened awareness, we actually know how much ego there is in us. I'm sure you all agree that most of us operate from the ego. But when we become aware with Guruji's grace, then we start realizing that we have, ego, we are ego driven. And then we begin to change our behavior and our responses to situations when we become aware that we have this ego and we can do better, we can rise above it. Because Guruji enables us in the end to melt it. And this is what we need to ask for, because when the I disappears, then he takes over and he fills us with his light. The sparrow, each grain of sand, fall not without my sight. All space like an iceberg floats within my mental sea. Colossal container, I, of all things made, by deeper, longer, thirsty, Guru-given meditation, comes a celestial samadhi. Mobile murmurs of atoms are heard. The dark earth, mountains, vales, low, molten liquid. Flowing seas change into vapors of nebulae. Om blows upon vapors, opening wondrously their veils. Oceans stand revealed, shining electrons, till at last sound of the cosmic drum Vanish the grosser lights into eternal rays. Of all-pervading bliss, from joy I came, for joy I live, in sacred joy I melt. Ocean of mind, I drink all creation's waves. 4 whales of solid liquid vapor light lift aright. Myself in everything enters the great myself, gone forever, fitful, flickering shadows of mortal memory. Spotless is my mental sky, below, ahead, and high above. Eternity and I, one united ray, a tiny bubble of laughter, I am become the sea of mirth itself. Sri Yukteswar taught me how to summon the blessed experience at will, and also how to transmit it to others if their intuitive channels were developed. For months, I entered the ecstatic union, comprehending why the Upanishads say God is ras, the most relishable. And Guruji used to say there's so many times, "Eh jera ras hai tonu kidhar nahi milna." Dunya har cheez da ras hai. Gambling mein, shopping mein, which we call retail therapy, हर चीज में, गॉसिप करने में, फ्रेंड्स के साथ कॉफी पीने में, पर ये जो रस है ना, गुरु दा रस, प्यार का रस, डिवाइन लव, ये बहुत रेलिशेबल है. He used to say, ए बड़ी दूर तक जाता है रस, ए असली रस है, बाकी तो टेम्परी है. It is all temporary and temporal, but this ras is eternal. So Guruji used to say, मैं बैठा तोनु bless करन वास्ते ते ए रस ले लो, which is absolutely, as I said, everlasting and eternal. One day, however, I took a problem to master. I want to know, sir, when shall I find God? You have found him. Oh, no, sir, I don't think so. My guru was smiling. I am sure you aren't expecting a venerable personage adorning a throne in some antiseptic corner of the cosmos. I see, however, that you are imagining that the possession of miraculous powers is knowledge of God. One might have the whole universe and find the Lord elusive still. Spiritual advancement is not measured by one's outward powers, but only by the depth of his bliss in meditation. Ever new joy is God. He is inexhaustible. As you continue your meditations during the years, he will beguile you with an infinite ingenuity. Devotees like yourself who have found the way to God never dream of exchanging him for any other happiness. He is seductive beyond thought of competition. How quickly we weary of earthly pleasures. Desire for material things is endless. Man is never satisfied completely and pursues one goal after another. The something else he seeks is the Lord who alone can grant lasting joy, which is so true. It's like an ever-growing, ever-going, passion for new phone, new technology. We are never satisfied. It's an ever-going search for something material, and it's literally, आज apartment है तो कल bungalow चाहिए, bungalow है तो mansion चाहिए, and then we want one holiday after another. It's just ongoing. But when we find God, when we find that peace and that bliss within us, then we are content no matter where we are and what we are doing with life, because we've attained it. We've attained the real goal. The goal of every human being is to attain God. But we are so far removed from this truth that we are ever miserable, and we are ever in search of something that would make us happy, not realizing that happiness is within us because God is within us. Outward longings drive us from the Eden within. They offer false pleasures which only impersonate soul happiness. The lost paradise is quickly regained through divine meditation. As God is unanticipatory, ever newness, we never tire of him. Can we be surfeited with bliss, delightfully varied through eternity? I understand now, sir, why saints call the Lord unfathomable. Even everlasting life could not suffice to praise him. That is true. But he is also near and dear. After the mind has been cleared by Kriya Yoga of sensory obstacles, meditation furnishes a twofold proof of God. ever new joy is evidence of his existence. That's true. Convincing to our very atoms. Also in meditation, one finds his instant guidance, his adequate response to every difficulty. It is so true again. When we feel joy in our hearts, and this joy is kind of unconditional. We find joy in the small things. We find joy in nature. We find joy in somebody smiling. So that is the proof, the evidence of divinity within our hearts. And that is the greatest achievement any human can make, that we are just constantly in a state of gratitude for no real rhyme or reason, but it's the presence of God that makes us feel so joyful and so much in gratitude. I see, Guruji, you have solved my problem. I smiled gratefully. I do realize now that I found God. For whenever the joy of meditation has returned, subconsciously during my active hours, I have been subtly directed to adopt the right course in everything, even details. Human life is beset with sorrow until we know how to tune in with the divine will, whose right course is often baffling to the egoistic intelligence. God bears the burden of the cosmos. He alone can give unerring counsel. So true. Chapter 15, the cauliflower robbery. I'm just going to go straight into it since we've had a little bit of disruption. The cauliflower robbery. Master, a gift for you. These 6 huge cauliflowers were planted with my hands. I have watched over their growth with the tender care of a mother nursing her child. I presented the basket of vegetables with a ceremonial flourish. Thank you. Sri Yukteswar's smile was warm with appreciation. Please keep them in your room. I shall need them tomorrow for a special dinner. I had just arrived in Puri to spend my college summer vacation with my guru at his seaside hermitage. Built by a master and his disciples, the cheerful little 2-storied retreat fronts on the Bay of Bengal. I awoke early the following morning, refreshed by the salty sea breezes and the charm of my surroundings. Sri Yukteswar's melodious voice was calling. I took a look at my cherished cauliflowers and stowed them neatly under my bed. Come, let's go to the beach. Master led the way. Several young disciples and myself followed in a scattered group. Our guru surveyed us in mild criticism. When our Western brothers walk, they usually take pride in unison. Now please march in 2 rows. Keep rhythmic step in one another. Sri Yukteswara watched as we obeyed. He began to sing. Boys go to and fro in a pretty little row. I could not but admire the ease with which Master was able to match the brisk pace of his young students. Halt! My guru's eye sought mine. Did you remember to lock the back door of the hermitage? I think so, sir. Sri Yukteswara was silent for a few minutes, a half-suppressed smile on his lips. No, you forgot, he said finally. Divine contemplation must not be made an excuse for material carelessness. You have neglected your duty in safeguarding the ashram. You must be punished. I thought he was obscurely joking when he added, your 6 cauliflowers will soon be only 5. We turned around at Master's orders and marched back until we were close to the hermitage. Rest a while, Mukunda. Look across the compound on our left, observe the road beyond. A certain man will arrive there presently. He will be the means of your chastisement. I concealed my vexation at these incomprehensible remarks. A peasant soon appeared on the road. He was dancing grotesquely and flinging his arms about with meaningless gestures. Almost paralyzed with curiosity, I glued my eyes on the hilarious spectacle. As the man reached a point in the road where he would vanish from our view, Sri Yukteswara said, now he will return. The peasant at once changed his direction and made for the rear of the ashram. Crossing a sandy tract, he entered the building by the back door. I had left it unlocked, even as my guru had said. The man emerged shortly, holding one of my prized cauliflowers. He now strode along respectably, invested with the dignity of possession. The unfolding farce in which my role appeared to be that of bewildered victim was not so disconcerting that I failed in indignant pursuit. I was halfway to the road when Master recalled me. He was shaking from head to foot with laughter. That poor crazy man has been longing for a cauliflower, he explained between outbursts of mirth. I thought it would be a good idea if he got one of yours, so ill-guarded. I dashed to my room, where I found that the thief, evidently one with a vegetable fixation, had left untouched my gold rings, watch, and money, all lying openly on the blanket. He had crawled instead under the bed, where, completely hidden from casual sight, one of my cauliflowers had aroused his single-hearted desire. I asked Sri Yukteswara that evening to explain the incident, which had, I thought, a few baffling features. My guru shook his head slowly. You will understand it someday. Science will soon discover a few of these hidden laws. When the wonders of radio burst some years later on an astounded world, I remembered Master's prediction. Age-old concepts of time and space were annihilated. No peasant's home so narrow that London or Calcutta could not enter. The dullest intelligence enlarged before indisputable proof of one aspect of man's omnipresence. The plot of the cauliflower comedy can be best understood by a radio analogy. So Sri Yukteswara was a perfect human radio. Thoughts are no more than very gentle vibrations moving in the ether. Just as a sensitized radio picks up a desired musical number out of thousands of other programs from every direction, so my guru had been able to catch the thought of the half-witted man who hankered for a cauliflower out of the countless thoughts of broadcasting human wills in the world. By his powerful will, Master was also a human broadcasting station and had successfully directed the peasant to reverse his steps and go to a certain room for a single cauliflower. Intuition is soul guidance, appearing naturally in man during those instants when mind is calm. So our intuition, our instincts are very, very strong because they are the voice of God. The inner voice is always the voice of God. We need to really be guided by our intuition and our instinct because, and when our mind is literally calm, then we are followed and we are guided, very carefully by the intuition. And we can always strengthen our intuition through meditation. So again, a very important lesson. And also, like, we even ask today, how does Guruji know what we want or what we're thinking? But he used to say, "Mere na bas telepathically connect karo," because he actually can hear and pick up the vibrations of our thoughts. So, and he does pick up the vibrations of our thoughts. Hence, he fulfills our, even the smallest of harmless desires. Nearly everyone, he had the experience of an inexplicably correct hunch or has transferred his thoughts effectively to another person. The human mind, free from the static of restlessness, can perform through its antenna of intuition all the functions of complicated radio mechanisms, sending and receiving thoughts and tuning out undesirable ones. So the human mind has that power to tune into this higher frequencies, we can say, just to simplify it. Sending and receiving thoughts and tuning out undesirable ones. As the power of a radio depends on the amount of electrical current it can utilize, so the human radio is energized according to the power of will possessed by each individual. Again, we can hone these skills. So it's all thoughts vibrate eternally in the cosmos. All our thoughts are heard. And that's why the law of attraction is very, very powerful in our lives. It works on a very sensitive frequency. By deep concentration, a master is able to detect the thoughts of any mind, living or dead. Thoughts are universally and not individually rooted. A truth cannot be created, but only perceived. The erroneous thoughts of man result from imperfections in his discernment. The goal of yoga science is to calm the mind. That without distortion it may mirror the divine vision in the universe. Beautiful. Radio and television have brought the instantaneous sound and sight of remote persons to the firesides of millions. The first faint scientific intimations that man is an all-pervading spirit, not a body confined to a point in space, but a vast soul, which the ego, in most barbaric modes, conspires in vain to cramp. Very strange, very wonderful, seemingly very improbable phenomena may yet appear, which, when once established, will not astonish us more than we are now astonished at all that science has taught us during the last century. So science and religion actually walk hand in hand. There is no difference. Scientists just don't know that God exists. But everything in Guruji's realm and spirituality is actually very scientific. And it can be explained, anything and everything. So even Guruji, as he used to say, "Main convert karta hai." Many times he would say, "convert karta hai," which means, like, when I can give you my real life example with Guruji. When I had the skin cancer, he said, "Main convert karta hai." So energy, as we understand it, cannot be destroyed. So that energy of cancer was converted into something much smaller. So that's how he worked. So Charles, and that's why he said 90% ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਤੇ ਲੈ ਲੈਣਾ, 10% like you have to go through your karmas like a prick of a needle as opposed to a blade of a sword. But all energy was converted. And the pinch we felt and not the blade of a sword. It is assumed that the phenomena, Charles Robert Rickert, Nobel Prizeman in physiology, has declared, it is assumed that the phenomena which we now accept without surprise do not excite our astonishment because they are understood. But this is not the case. If they do not surprise us, it is not because they are understood, it is because they are familiar. For it, that which we do not understand, let me say that again. If they do not surprise us, it is not because they are understood, it is because they are familiar. For if that which is not understood or to surprise us, we should be surprised at everything. Okay, that was a bit of a riddle. The fall of a stone thrown into the air, the acorn which becomes an oak, mercury which expands when it is heated, iron attracted by a magnet, phosphorus which burns when it is rubbed. The science of today is a light matter. The revolutions and evolutions which it will experience in 100 years or 100,000 years will far exceed the most daring anticipations. The truth, those surprising, amazing, unforeseen truths, which our descendants will discover, are even now all around us, staring us in the eyes, so to speak, and yet we do not see them. This is so true. There are, many laws which go escaped, but if we understand the laws that govern our lives and govern the world, then we are able to, in fact, work with the laws to enhance our own lives. But it is not enough to say that we do not see them. We do not wish to see them. For as soon as an unexpected and unfamiliar fact appears, we try to fit it into the framework of the commonplaces of acquired knowledge, and we are indignant that anyone should dare to experiment further. A humorous, you see, we're all comforts of creature. So whatever we've learned, it seems that is enough to rule our lives and to govern our, thinking. But anything which makes us uncomfortable, because it is out of the box kind of thing, it just, we need to be a little more resilient, and we need to be open-minded to be able to receive the other frequencies. A humorous occurrence took place a few days later after I had been so implausibly robbed of a cauliflower. A certain kerosene lamp could not be found. Having so lately witnessed my guru's omniscient insight, I thought he would demonstrate that it was child's play to locate the lamp. Master perceived my expectation. With exaggerated gravity, he questioned all ashram residents. A young disciple confessed that he had used the lamp to go to the well in the backyard. Sri Yukteswar gave a solemn counsel: seek the lamp near the well. I rushed there. No lamp. Crestfallen, I returned to my guru. He was now laughing heartily, without compunction for my disillusionment. Too bad I couldn't direct you to the vanished lamp. He added, I am not even a satisfactory Sherlock Holmes. I realized that Master would never display his powers when challenged or for a triviality. Delightful weeks sped by. Sri Yukteswar was planning a religious procession. He asked me to lead the disciples over the town and beach at Puri. The festive day dawned as one of the hottest of the summer. Guruji, how can I take the barefooted students over the fairy sands? I spoke despairingly. I will tell you a secret, Master responded. The Lord will send an umbrella of clouds. You all shall walk in comfort. I happily organized the procession. What could Guruji not do? And I remember this, and because it's vague, I will not quote, but I remember it was a very hot day and Guruji said, Aaj barish hoegi. And it was so. So he can make the impossible possible. He can turn the sun into rain and the calm into storm, and vice versa. I will tell you a secret, Master responded. The Lord will send an umbrella of clouds. You shall walk in comfort. I happily organized the procession. Our group started from the ashram with a Sat Sangha banner designed by Sri Yukteswara. It bore the symbol of the single eye, the telescopic gaze of intuition. No sooner had we left the hermitage than the part of the sky which was overhead became filled with clouds as though by magic. To the accompaniment of astonished ejaculations from all sides, a very light shower fell, cooling the city streets and the burning seashore. The soothing drops descended during the 2 hours of the parade, the exact instant at which our group returned to the ashram. The clouds and rain passed away tracelessly. You see how God feels for us? Master replied after I had expressed my gratitude. The Lord responds to all and works for all. Just as he sent rain at my plea, so he fulfills all sincere desire of a devotee. Seldom do men realize how often God heeds their prayers. He's not partial to a few, but listens to everyone who approaches him trustingly. His children should ever have implicit faith in the loving kindness of their omnipresent Father. This paragraph is so important because, see, it demonstrates that God can do anything and he listens to all our prayers indiscriminately. And he is not partial to any devotee. For Guruji, we are all one. We are all equal in the eyes of the Lord. But our level of faith varies. Our surrender varies. But if we completely surrender to him and love him and trust him implicitly, without a grain of doubt, then why would he not listen to our prayer? Sri Yukteswara sponsored 4 yearly festivals at the equinoxes and solstices, when his students gathered from far and near. The winter solstice celebration was held in Serampur. The first one I attended left me with permanent blessing. The festivities started in the morning with a barefoot procession along the streets. The voices of 100 students rang out with sweet religious songs, A few musicians played the flute and kol kartal, drums and cymbals. Enthusiastic townspeople strewed the path with flowers, glad to be summoned from prosaic tasks by our resounding praise of the Lord's blessed name. The long tour ended in the courtyard of the hermitage. There we encircled our guru, while students on upper balconies showered us with marigold blossoms. Many guests went upstairs to receive a pudding of chana and oranges. I made my way to a group of brother disciples who were serving today as cooks. Food for such large gatherings had to be cooked outdoors in huge cauldrons. The improvised wood-burning brick stoves were smoky and tear-provoking, but we laughed merrily at our work. Religious festivals in India are never considered troublesome. Each one does his part, supplying money, rice, vegetables, or his personal services. Master was soon in our midst, supervising the details of the feast, busy every moment. He kept pace with the most energetic young student. Our son's kirtan, group chanting, accompanied by the harmonium and hand-played Indian drums, was in progress on the second floor. Sri Yukteswara listened appreciatively. His musical sense was acutely perfect. They are off-key. Master left the cooks and joined the artists. The melody was heard again, this time correctly tendered. In India, music as well as painting and the drama is considered a divine art. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the eternal trinity, were the first musicians. The divine dancer Shiva is scripturally represented as having worked out the infinite modes of rhythm in his cosmic dance of universal creation, preservation, and dissolution, while Brahma accentuated the time beat with the clanging cymbals, and Vishnu sounded the holy mridanga or drum. Krishna, an incarnation of Vishnu, is always shown in Hindu art with a flute, on which he plays the enrapturing song that recalls to their true home the human souls wandering in Maya delusion. Saraswati, goddess of wisdom, is symbolized as performing on the veena, mother of all stringed instruments. The Samaveda of India contains the world's earliest writings on musical science. The foundation stone of Hindu music is the ragas, or fixed melodic scales. The 6 basic ragas branch out into 126 derivative raginis, wives, the putras, sons. Each raga has a minimum of 5 notes, a leading note, Vadi or king, a secondary note, Samavadi or prime minister, helping notes, Anuvadi, attendants, and a dissonant note. Each one of the 6 basic ragas has a natural correspondence with a certain hour of the day, season of the year, a presiding deity who bestows a particular potency. Thus, the Hindol raga is heard only at dawn in the spring to evoke the mood of universal love. Dipaka raga is played during the evening in summer to rouse compassion. Megha raga is a melody for midday in the rainy season to summon courage. Bhairav raga is played in the morning of August, September, October to achieve tranquility. Shri raga is reserved for autumn twilights to attain pure love. Malkonsa raga is heard at midnights in winter for valor. The ancient rishis discovered these lords of sound, alliance between nature and man. Because nature is an objectification of Om, the primal sound or vibratory word, man can obtain control over all natural manifestations through the use of certain mantras or chants. So Guruji gave us the mantra Om Namah Shivaya Shivji Sarasai. If done properly in silence, on our own, single-mindedly, we can achieve a great deal of, elevation. Historical documents tell of the remarkable powers possessed by Mian Tan Sen, 16th century court musician for Akbar the Great. Mian Tan Sen, commanded by the emperor to sing a night raga while the sun was overhead, Tan Sen intoned a mantra which instantly caused the whole palace precincts to become enveloped in darkness. Indian music divides the octave in 22 shrutis or demi-semitones. These microtonal intervals permit fine shades of musical expression unattainable by the Western chromatic scale of 12 semitones. Each one of the 7 basic notes of the octave is associated in Hindu mythology with the color and the natural cry of a bird or beast. Doe with green and the peacock, ray with red and the skylark, me with golden, and the goat, Fa, with yellowish yellow, and the heron, Sol, with black, and the nightingale, La, with yellow, and the horse, Si, with a combination of all colors, and the elephant. 3 scales, major, harmonic, minor, melodic, minor, are the only ones with Occidental music employees, but Indian music outlines 72 tatas or scales. The musician has a creative scope for endless improvisation around the fixed traditional melody or raga. He concentrates on the sentiment or definitive mood of the structural theme and then embroiders it to the limits of his own originality. The Hindu musician does not read set notes. He clothes anew at each playing the bare skeleton of the raga, after often confining himself to a single melodic sequence, stressing by repetition all its subtle microtonal and rhythmic vibrations. Bach, among Western composers, had an understanding of the charm and power of repetitious sound, slightly differentiated in 100 complex ways. Ancient Sanskrit literature describes 120 talas or time measures. This is the last page now for those of you who are getting a little, because this is heavy. And those of you who are into music will kind of appreciate this, this whole reading. Ancient Sanskrit literature describes 120 talas or time measures. The traditional founder of Hindu music, Bharat, is said to have isolated 32 kinds of tala in the Song of a Lark. The origin of tala or rhythm is rooted in human movements. The double time of walking and the triple time of respiration in sleep, when inhalation is twice the length of exhalation. India has always recognized the human voice as the most perfect instrument of sound. Hindu music, therefore, largely confines itself to the voice range of 3 octaves. For the same reason, melody, a relation of successive notes, is stressed rather than harmony, relation of simultaneous notes. The deeper aim of the early Rishi musicians was to blend the singer with the cosmic song, which can be heard through awakening of man's occult spinal centers. Indian music is a subjective, spiritual, and individualistic art, aiming not at symphonic brilliance, but at personal harmony with the oversoul. The Sanskrit word for musician is bhag of avatar, he who sings the praises of God. The Sankirtans or musical gatherings are an effective form of yoga or spiritual discipline, necessitating deep concentration, intense absorption in the seed, thought, and sound. Because man himself is an expression of the creative word, sound has the most potent and immediate effect on him, offering a way to remembrance of his divine origin. I guess Sufi music is, from my understanding, a way of connecting with divinity. And of course, this, which is quite heavy and abstract to my mind, but people who get into that classical music and singing will be able to relate that this is a reflection of the divine, melody which runs through us, and we infuse with that energy. The Sun Kirtan issuing from Sri Yukteswar's second story, sitting room on the day of the festival was inspiring to the cooks amidst the streaming pots. My brother, disciples, and I joyously sang the refrains, beating time with our hands. By sunset, we had served our hundreds of visitors with khichdi, rice and lentils, vegetable curry, and rice pudding. We laid cotton blankets over the courtyard. Soon the assemblage was squatting under the starry vault, quietly attentive to the wisdom pouring from Sri Yukteswara's lips. His public speeches emphasized the value of Kriya Yoga and a life of self-respect, calmness, determination, simple diet, and regular exercise. So this is actually still very, very, relevant. A life of self-respect, calmness, determination, simple diet, and regular exercise. Like Guruji said, एक घंटा जरूर walk कितना करो रोज और काम रहा करो, determinate रहा करो, अपना काम करो सही तरीके से, live out your karmas and just live, without the 5 vices, or at least abate them, the Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar. A group of very young disciples then chanted a few sacred hymns. The meeting concluded with Sun Kirtan. From 10 o'clock until midnight, the ashram residents washed pots and pans and cleared the courtyard. My guru then called me to his side. I am pleased over your cheerful labors today and during the past week of preparations. I want you with me. You may sleep in my bed tonight. This was a privilege I had never thought would fall to my lot. We sat a while in a state of intense divine tranquility. Hardly 10 minutes after we had gotten into bed, Master rose and began to dress. What is the matter, sir? I felt a tinge of unreality in the unexpected joy of sleeping beside my guru. I think that a few students who missed their proper train connections will be here soon. Let us have some food ready. Guruji, no one would come at 1 o'clock in the morning. Stay in bed. You have been working very hard, but I am going to cook. At Sri Yukteswar's resolute tone, I jumped up and followed him to the small daily use kitchen adjacent to the second floor in a balcony. Rice and dal was soon boiling. My guru smiled affectionately. Tonight you have conquered fatigue and fear of hard work. You shall never be bothered by them in the future. So he won that test. As he uttered these words of lifelong blessings, footprints sounded in the courtyard. I ran downstairs and admitted a group of students. Dear brother, how reluctant we are to disturb Master at this hour, one man addressed me apologetically. We made a mistake about train schedules, but felt we could not return home without a glimpse of our Guru. He has been expecting you and is even now preparing your food. Sri Yukteswara's welcoming voice ran out. I left the astonished visitors to the kitchen. Master turned to me with twinkling eyes. Now that you have finished comparing notes, no doubt you are satisfied that our guests really did miss their train. I followed him to his bedroom a half hour later, realizing fully that I was about to sleep beside a godlike guru. How blessed. So this was quite a lengthy session today. I hope you're able to draw value from most of the chapters, most of the pages, and I hope you enjoyed that. It was heavy. It was heavy for me too, especially the musical part, but nevertheless, it goes hand in hand, the heaviness and the lightness, the wisdom and also the abstract knowledge that we are yet to kind of fathom and understand. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. Any feedback or any comment? Anyone?
If anybody wants to say something, they can raise their hand.
Then without further ado, we shall log out and we shall. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Sangaji, for joining me.